are so many more delicious options for people who follow a gluten-free diet. Our next guest says the gluten-free everyday cookbook was truly a labor of love for him. Robert Landolphi is back with us today. Robert, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you very much.
Right off the bat, we should talk about why you chose to write this cookbook.
Well, I wrote this cookbook because my wife was diagnosed in the year 2000. She was extremely ill from 1998 till 2000. They thought she had Lyme disease, Epstein-Barr syndrome, MS. Eventually, she was diagnosed with celiac disease. The only cure is lifelong adherence to the diet. So that means, again, removing that wheat, gluten, barley, and rye. And so I went into the kitchen and I said, "This is for you, honey." And I created hundreds of recipes. Exactly. And a lot of these are her favorites, and that's kind of compiled them all into one book.
Okay, and what are we making today?
What we're going to do today is we're going to start off, this is a chocolate espresso chili.
Okay.
Okay, and what we're going to do here is we're just going to start off a little bit of olive oil in our pan.
You carry olive oil in a flask?
Don't you?
Absolutely.
It's easier, you know? What we're going to do is we're just going to put our onions right in there, and you can just take the spoon and just kind of stir them.
Sure, I'll take care of this.
You want to use a sweet onion, okay, like a medallion or something like that. We're going to add a little bit of garlic in there. And then what we're going to do is we're going to incorporate all our spices. So we have some oregano, some cumin, some chili powder. And what I have here is actually I'm using a chipotle spice, okay? You can use cayenne if you don't have it, but I like the chipotle.
It's getting a kick already.
Exactly, and it's a little bit smokier, so it's going to add another whole element. Here is the cinnamon, so we're going kind of in that whole mole thing, almost like Mexican. All right, and then what we're going to do is we would let that usually simmer for a little while.
Okay.
And then we're going to add our chopped tomatoes.
Okay.
Yeah, if you wanted to use tomato sauce, you could. If you have a jar in the fridge, that's fine. Then black beans, okay?
All right, I'm going to mix this all together.
Mix that up. There's actually no meat in this chili. This is vegetarian, so it's
better.
very healthy. And then what we're going to do is after that simmers for about 30 minutes or so, shot of espresso, a little bit of honey. Look at that in there.
Just secret ingredients
just to sweeten it up a little bit. Pinch of salt, and of course gluten-free beer.
And there's such a thing.
There's such a thing. Most beers are made with barley. Difference here, it's made with sorghum, which is actually a gluten-free grain. It's made into a lot of flours and used in gluten-free baking.
Okay.
And we're just going to put a little bit of that in there. Here, you can have the rest. Yeah, just mix that up. And what we do there is we would just let that simmer again, probably for about 15 minutes or so.
Okay.
And then we would add a little bit of chocolate.
You're really putting chocolate in this.
We're really putting chocolate in there. You don't want to use milk chocolate. This is actually a dark chocolate, 70% cocoa. That's what you're looking for.
Health benefits to that, right?
Exactly. Have a glass of wine with it. You're all set. And then what we're going to do is just throw a little bit of cilantro in there. Okay?
All right.
And you just mix that up.
Sure, I could do that.
And we're just going to let that simmer for a little while.
All right.
And what we have is it's basically almost like a mole sauce, which is a cinnamon chocolate, but we made it into a chili. Okay.
Right.
Now this other gluten-free option that we're going to make today is this is actually chicken nuggets. Okay.
Yeah, looks
and
like it.
when I talk to a lot of moms, I always say to them, if you go to the store and you're buying chicken nuggets, be careful because it's actually like chicken essence of flavor in there. It's it's a lot of fillers and things like that. So what I did is I actually cut up some
chicken breast. Okay.
Soaked it in a little buttermilk. What that does is it kind of tenderizes it a little bit. Okay. And then what we're going to do is we have an egg here. Just going to add a couple tablespoons of buttermilk, and you can just beat that up.
Sure.
And then what we're using as our coating here is we're actually using, this is a buffalo tortilla chip.
Looks like a Dorito.
Pretty
Close,
much.
but gluten-free?
Pretty much, but a gluten-free version.
All right.
And this is actually a white cheddar and sour cream potato chip. And all I did was I put them through a food processor.
Oh, so they're like breadcrumbs now. Okay.
And then what we're going to do is we're just going to take our nuggets, and you just coat them. And if you were in a hurry, what you could do is actually just put your fillings, your coverings here into a Ziploc bag. Put them in there, shake them around.
Okay, sure.
Be fine. Okay, but what we're going to do is we're just going to coat these, put them right on our oiled pan, just like this. And if you have a favorite chip, no matter what it is, put it through the food processor, and that's what you can use. Then what we're going to do is we're just going to place this right in the oven. And what it is, it's a 400-degree oven for about 15 minutes.
Oh, that's easy.
Okay, and then when they come out, you can tray them up, just like so. I served it here with a ranch dressing today.
So good.
Doesn't that look good?
Wait to try
This is great. We got the
this.
Super Bowl coming up.
Yes.
So this is your
meal for the Super
gluten-free,
Bowl.
healthy version for the Super Bowl. So
Can I try it?
Go right ahead.
Can I do
Enjoy.
a little dip right
Now, I
into
want to
the,
know, where do you get some of these gluten-free food? Do you anywhere now?
Pretty much. If you go to a lot of your mainstream supermarkets, they actually have sections now when you go in that are labeled gluten-free. So it's become a lot more mainstream, and a lot more of the mainstream companies as well are starting to release gluten-free versions of their products.
I know a lot of people, especially myself, looking to eat more gluten-free food because I just think I'm going to feel better.
Exactly. And I know I have a friend who's a marathon runner, and he just, he's not diagnosed with celiac disease or gluten intolerant, but what he finds is that his going on a gluten-free diet, his times have improved and his recovery rate in between trainings.
Wow.
So
I love that.
I couldn't tell any difference
I'm going
at
to
all.
try this.
That is phenomenal.
This
Yeah,
looks
that's
so
very
good.
good. Wow.
And you're actually going to taste the chocolate in this. You know, the
Okay.
chocolate with the tomatoes and the beans, it's just delicious. A little bit of cilantro on there.
We should mention you have
Isn't that
another
nice?
cookbook
Delicious.
coming out also.
Thank you.
I do. My second book will be out this August. It's called
is really
Quick
good.
Fix Gluten Free.
Well, that's
And that's gonna
fantastic.
be another
Spices
fun
are
consulting
fabulous.
recipe.
You're going to want this recipe.
Thank you so much for being here.
You're
If you want
welcome.
the recipe, just go to WTNH.com and click on Connecticut Style. Stay with us. Coming up.